Way back into the distant past, when Pete was like 15. He joined a mail-in movie club, 11 takes for pennies. And now cut to 2025, the movie club caught on to Pete's life. And now they want to punish him, so they trapped him in a room with a bunch of movie tapes. Pete didn't want to pay for the movies he got in the 90s. He'll have to watch random horror tapes and tell us about gore and probably some rape. Now keep in mind, Pete didn't pick. They use random numbers and a long list. He's got to get through every movie, one each day for the time we can't foresee. Helpful snowman roll call. Anxiety. Grouchiness. Entropy. Snow. If you're wondering why he did this song and other FAQ facts, just shut up and listen to this show, or fuck it, take a nice nap. It's Helpful Snowman Podoween 2025.
All right, back from the dungeon. I've been in the dungeon the whole time, but you're back in it in a manner of speak. Today's movie is Disciple of Death. It's a weird 70s low-budget British horror movie. It's kind of funny right off. Like, I guess it's supposed to be taking place in the 18th century, but because of my being American and dumb, it sort of seems like it could be almost any time. Like, the British accents don't really indicate time to me in any specific way. Anything that's people have British accents in, I'm like, well, it's either super modern, and they'll be talking about things I do not know about, or it's like, that's the universal way to indicate something's old, right? It's like, we'll give them a British accent and it'll be old. I mean, maybe too, it's like, I just picture people in the British countryside basically living like the people in this movie. You know what I mean? Walking everywhere and having buckles on their shoes and shit. I suppose they probably wear more technical fabrics than the people in this movie. But yeah, I don't know. It just kind of seems like, oh, what a timeless film. But don't mistake my use of the word timeless here for classic movie. When I say classic, I just mean old. The story involves two young lovers whose parents don't approve of their love, which they never do, right? It's always like, oh, a classic Romeo and Juliet story. And I'm like, for once, could we just have a story where it's like young people get together and their parents are like, yeah, I mean, I don't love this guy, but fucking whatever. You know what I mean? She's going to get with somebody, and he seems reasonably timid and, like he's not going to ruin her life. So good enough. Isn't that like good enough if you're parents of teens? Let me know. Like, are you really, when they're like 16 and they're going to the prom or something, are you looking for like the perfect man? Or are you just like, I mean, he's not a monster. He's a 16-year-old boy, so he is a monster. But, he's all right. So these two young lovers keep meeting up in the woods to just sit around. And one day they decide to mix their blood because, as we all know, hepatitis shared is true love. And a drop of their blood falls on the ground and awakens a Dracula of sorts, I guess, who decides to make the woman his slam piece in hell or something. The Dracula kidnaps this girl, or maybe a girl or something, and then he goes off on this manifesto about how he has to find a bride to live with him forever in hell or something like that. Which is like, or maybe the bride gets him out of hell or something. I'm not sure if the bride stays in hell with him, which I guess he thinks would make it not so bad, or if the bride gets him out of hell. But like, if he's thinking having a young woman with him in hell to, I don't know, like share domestic chores, like, does he really think that's going to make it better? I don't want to get too like cheesy 80s stand up or something, but like, how do you think that bringing a young woman to your hell house is going to improve the situation, right? Like, can you imagine? I give this Dracula like 4 days before he's like, ooh, I thought I lived in hell before, Because it would be like, oh, what's that smell? And it's like, oh, yeah, hell smells fucked up, you know? And it's like, oh, it's very hot in here. And it's like, well, yeah, it's hell. You're just like having to deal with all the things again as she's discovering like hell sucks. And you're like, yeah, I mean, it's literal hell that I'm in and that I brought you to. And you're understandably not happy about that. It almost feels like the plot of a comic strip, like a Blondie or Lockhorns kind of thing. But, you know, it features the devil. I mean, it's like something people would have railed against if it was published in newspapers because it seemed satanic or whatever, completely ignoring that it's basically like, chicks are so annoying, aren't they? But I mean, who gives a shit about the motive? Because, of course, nobody in this movie ends up in hell except maybe the Dracula. I don't know. But, like, it doesn't really matter why he wants this to happen because it's not going to happen. Thanks to our hero, who's named Ralph, I think. And he sets off to rescue his blood brother lady, and he's accompanied by the village parson, who is hilariously inept when it comes to basically like hiking over mildly uneven ground. And it did give me some unintended laughs because like the idea of our hero setting off and being teamed up with someone who fucking sucks at doing simple stuff, you know, like it takes twice as long as it should to cover the same ground. The parson's utterly useless in a fight. I mean, this is good stuff, guys. The parson and the guy do stop at a hut with like an old wizard in it, and they talk to him forever. And the old wizard gives them a bunch of bullshit magic nonsense stuff, and then they leave. And then the parson, they're like standing outside this house where this old wizard lives, and he was like, we have this thing that we're supposed to use on the Dracula, but do we like show it to him? Do we have to touch him with it? And Ralph is kind of like, well, if you're so fucking worried about it, maybe go in and ask him. So the parson goes back inside, sees the old wizard is now just a skeleton, and there's a bunch of cobwebs and stuff. And he's like, oh, sorry to bother you. You know, I'll be on my way. It's almost like a little comedy scene that I did not expect.
Just a moment, my boy. Are you quite sure you know how to use that talisman thing?
Well, yes, I reckon I do.
You just have to show it to him. You don't have to touch him with it.
That'd be what the old man said.
I'm not certain. I don't want to take any unnecessary risks, you know.
Then you best go back in and ask him.
Yes, I think I will.
But be quick about it.
I'm sorry to disturb you. I didn't realize. It can wait. Thank you.
Speaking of little comedy scenes here, I'm going to share a highlight from this movie. But I don't want you to think this is the kind of good stuff that's in this movie, okay? You have to promise me. Because this is going to sound awesome, and for maybe like 4 minutes, this movie is good. But believe me when I tell you that even this level of excitement doesn't make it worthwhile to watch this movie. The Dracula, we cut back to the Dracula, and he's talking to like a little person who's just in a cabinet. Let's call him an imp, because I think he's like a little demon or something. Plus, that's not a term I'm aware of being used offensively for little people. So the Dracula's basically like, go forth, my minion, and stop these guys from doing whatever they're doing. So the imp just like magically appears on a cliffside and dances around. And then he starts doing stuff like he calls up this raging river and he creates a jet of fire and he does other stuff to try and stop these guys. And like none of these things work, mostly thanks to the use of the poorly explained magic stuff we got from the skeleton man. And it basically, each of these things fail, and then the imp makes a lot of phooey type of motions and stuff like that. The imp has no lines and no dialogue. It doesn't seem to speak. Anyway, there's just probably a 5-minute sequence where this guy's dancing around and trying to light them on fire or, you know, hit them with a boulder or something, and it just doesn't work because of magic, whatever. But it is fairly entertaining. Anyway, I don't know. Then somehow everyone's in like an old barn. There's like a weird torture machine that also doesn't work. And everyone's fine at the end. So, I mean, probably the most underrated thing about this movie is it is pretty funny to imagine a Dracula who has a lot of like well-laid plans and none of them work. Like, surely my magical imp buddy who can conjure a raging river to cross someone's path in an instant, surely he'll be able to stop like a bumbling parson and a guy, but like it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Okay, well, I've got this torture hell machine. That'll probably work, right? No, that doesn't work either. So like just imagining a Dracula who has legitimately good ideas, lots of thoughts about how to keep his plans rolling and all that stuff. And then all of it just sort of failing through no fault of his own. Like he's got plans and backups to the backups and backups to those. And it still doesn't work. That's pretty funny premise, right? It's 100% unintentional in this movie, but it is there. So I'm going to rate today's movie on a system of how many minutes are worth watching, giving it a percent score out of 100 based on what percent of the movie has something interesting or fun going on. And Disciple of Death under this highly scientific system gets a 2% provisionally. However, I'm downgrading it to a 0%. Because I think if you watch that 2% of this movie, you'll waste time. You'll watch other parts of this movie and scrub through it thinking there's more than, you know, the skeleton gag and the imp doing little things, but there is not more than that. Trust me, there's not. So like a 0% is the most responsible rating I can give in terms of guiding other viewers, which is a very long way of saying a movie gets 0 stars or a 0 out of 10 or whatever. But like, we've got podcast time to fill here, guys. It's goddamn Podoween. I'm doing this every day. This doesn't work if I'm just going to be direct and clear and efficient. We'll have 4 minutes total.
Podoween 2025.